It's certainly a different challenge. Obviously, Africa was 16,000k. It took a year out of my life to do. This one 3,000k. But I think the tasty part of this is the elevation. Actually, it's 300,000 feet elevation, so it's about 10 Mount Everests crammed into that. New Zealand's got a lot of mountains.
Look, I mean, good luck with this next run of yours. 1,800 miles, 3,000 kilometres. But then you've done Africa. This one's going to be a piece of cake, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a different challenge. Obviously, Africa was 16,000k. It took a year out of my life to do. This one 3,000k. But I think the tasty part of this is the elevation. Actually, it's 300,000 feet elevation, so it's about 10 Mount Everests crammed into that. New Zealand's got a lot of mountains, so really looking forward to it. Always wanted to go to New Zealand, so to have the opportunity to do it now.
Yeah, and you've been sort of doing arduous stuff since you were very young. You were telling us before we turned on the microphone. You used to deliver the Times and the Sunday Times.
Yeah, I was saying I've got a bone to pick with you, look, because your magazines in the Times were so heavy back in the day that putting my back out.
20 kilograms, you were saying.
It's heavy. Sunday Times. I don't know how heavy it was, but at the time I remember getting on my BMX, 13 or 14 years old. I used to get paid 18 quid a week for my paper round. Yeah. And on the Sunday I got maybe like a 50p bonus or something. Yeah. And but I remember it being an absolute nightmare because the magazines made it so heavy. Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like a little plug.
And a big hill to cycle up as well.
Yeah. You made your point on pay and conditions of work of times delivery personnel. But I mean, now you're taking this on, and it's really quite something. And you've got this title, the hardest geezer. Do you like to think of yourself as the hardest geezer? It suggests you're not just into the experience and the exercise and the achievement. You want to outdo all the other hard geezers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was born out of it was like 2021, out of like the competitiveness with the boys at the time, the lads, but I'm nearly 30 now, so I think I've probably outgrown it a little bit, but it's still hanging around, so we roll with it.
All right, let's talk about this latest project of yours, New Zealand, the length of New Zealand. Yeah. Look, you watch enough movies and you see pictures of New Zealand, and you can see the spectacular scenery and the landscapes, the mountainous country, which you sort of touched on there. Are we talking about running up mountains as well as
literally, man. Like there's a whole mountain range that I'm going to have to run through. So I mean, it's one of the pull factors for me was that there's so many different terrains. It's like we're running through rivers and up the mountains, along the beaches, and like you said, it's such a beautiful country. So I'm really excited to explore it on foot. It's like my favourite way to explore a country. You really get to feel it, like you feel the ground underneath your feet, the air. You immerse into the culture properly. Yeah. And you see the blending of it as well. I think a lot of the times when I've done travelling before, you kind of fly into a city, you see the city, and then you fly somewhere else. But on doing the whole country on foot, you really get to see like the entirety of the country. So really excited to explore that.
Yeah, Russ, you make it sound almost appealing. I say almost appealing. I don't want to mislead you. Yeah. I'm not about to suddenly follow behind you, 20 paces behind you in over these 1,800
Give
miles.
It till the end of the conversation, I'll convince you.
You know what? You won't. But we're talking, aren't we, about a lot of skill, a lot of endurance, a lot of strength, and maybe just also being slightly mad.
Maybe a little bit, but I also, I think the endurance side of things is obviously a big part of it. I think with this project in particular, really want to spend some more time with the locals and getting into the culture and getting into the activities of it a bit more. I think it was probably one of the things that I wish I could have done in Africa, but I set myself these crazy deadlines of like getting up to these places as quickly as possible, so you kind of breeze through it and you don't maybe take it in as much as I would have liked. So with this one, that's a big part of it.
I get the the appeal of the experience, the meeting of people, the experiencing the countryside and the way that you describe it really, really well. But it's also, for want of a better word, an adventurous aspect. I'm not sure adventurous is the right word, actually. When you did your African run, well, tell me about it. You were robbed, you were kidnapped, and lots more.
Yeah, mate. I mean, those were probably the two most spicy situations that happened. We robbed at gunpoint in Angola and lost quite a lot of stuff, about 5-6 grand's worth of stuff. And then I was held hostage in the jungle for a couple of days. So, yeah, I mean, that was one of the more traumatic episodes of my life, to be honest with you.
Yeah. You said that quite casually. I mean, you were taken hostage by who, and what did they?
I got separated from my team down these like jungle roads. The van couldn't make it down these like kind of mud paths, and then I was driven on the back of a motorbike for 7 hours. Ended up in this rural village. Ended up managing to speak to the second chief of the village, who spoke a small amount of English, and we were able to like kind of cooperate and make contact with my team, who then came on like a 2-day kind of rescue mission. You know, we sorted everyone out with some money, and things were all right in the end. But there was, you know, some time on that back of the motorbike where I thought it was a game over, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah. So this was a village community in Africa, not a sort of armed gang.
No,
it was a sort of side hustle.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I think it was like a lot of it was misunderstanding. I mean, it's quite complex. I was in the DRC at the time. It's got a complex history of its own. So I think, you know, there was a lot of acting on fear out of both sides. So I think they were quite scared of what I would do there. And then, you know, I was also like, well, pretty petrified, especially some of the stories I'd heard on the way up to DRC.
You thought you might?
I thought it was it. Yeah, I did. Honestly, I thought it was game over. So.
Well, from what little I know of New Zealand, there's no chance of that happening.
Hopefully not, mate.
Very little chance of that happening. Yeah. I mean, meanwhile, you raised an awful lot of money, didn't you? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we raised £1 million in the end for 2 charities. The first one was Sandblast. I'm going out there again in a week or so, actually, who operate in one of the biggest refugee camps in Africa, in just outside of Tindouf. So they deliver educational and cultural programs out there. And then the other one's the running charity I've worked with for a long time, basically supporting young people from all types of different backgrounds with running, but also like mentorship and really trying to use running as a tool to make something happen.
Well, that's really valuable work. You raised over £1 million last time. What are you hoping to raise this time?
So I've decided that I don't think we're going to raise money again for charity. For this one, like, you know, we pushed a lot for people to donate last time. We raised £1 million, and I'm still doing a lot of work with both of those charities. I'm going out to the refugee camp next week, and one of the like underlying core messages of every time I do one of these runs or something is we want people to go out there and get after the adventure of life, whether it's running or, you know, starting a business or family life. There's always an adventure out there for people. I'm a big believer in that. And
are you recording it? Are you going to be?
Yeah, so we're making loads of content. We're going to be running some
media or
other initiatives. But you know, I think not every time we have to be raising a load of money. There's a load of other stuff we can do as well. So we want to kind of mix it up this time.
Okay, and while you're out there, just in case you feel a bit idle, you're doing some other stuff. I mean, I'm looking at a list here. You're bungee jumping off Auckland Harbour Bridge and a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah, we're having it. Like, honestly, so the opportunity came up to partner with 100% Pure New Zealand, and they said, look, we'll show you all over the country. We'll take you everything there is in New Zealand. We'll take you to see. So I was like, look, it's a no-brainer. Like, let's make it happen. So, really excited to get stuck in with all of that.
Skydiving?
Stuff as well. Skydiving.
Done that before?
Nah, never.
Right.
So I don't know how I'm going to be with the old heights as well. So we'll, you know, it might be a bit shaky.
I'm wondering what else you can squeeze in here. What about diving into a volcano? Have you tried that?
I reckon
I can see you're thinking about it.
I think the volcano might be a bit scared. You know.
Listen, it's really good to talk to you. Thanks very much.
No worries. Thanks for having me.